Something I thought was important to get across, which was that it's not that there's someone thinking about what they're going to put out into the world and then put it out into the world, and it actually changes or replaces someone's identity or belief system or ideology. The one who's seeing it is changed, and they're replaced, and they turn into what this is reflecting, a pattern of what they start to understand because they somehow know, not in the moment but later. Actually, it's not that. What's going on is everything is taking place as it's unfolding creation right now. So there's no time gap, there's no interval between past, between the next thing, and between the future. So that is very, very helpful because I've met people who think that they have to think and hold something in mind, and then in time, in the future, it manifests, and that somehow by holding it in mind, they're able to experience it at a later point in time. What that leads to, if you have that train of thought, is that nothing is going on right now, but everything is going on because of mm, because of what it is that is sort of creating in that moment after you step into it, so that you think of something and then there's a lag and there's a break in time, and then suddenly you step into the creation, because what you're thinking about, what you're creating right now, somehow has some kind of power in the future. And that is a pretty strong um, delusion. That's a pretty strong mm, program, medically and otherwise. Um, when someone thinks of it that way, that they're getting what they want later, and that it's not coming right now, and that it comes later, and they have to like manipulate the factors so that it can come into existence at that time. So let me explain something that anyone can become a lot freer in seeing that happening. Everything is happening always. It's not happening then or in the future, and it's not happening in your head, and it's not happening in the mind. It's happening as it's going on now, and then now. So then it's like God creates this, and then this is created, and then this is created, and then this is created. And the pattern is taking place in the awareness that makes it seem like there's a creation going on and a creator that's apart from the creation, but the creation is actually happening in real time. What does that mean? In real time, it means it's going on all the time. It's not taking a break. It's not like God says, I'm I keep using the word God. Well, it's written in the courtroom, isn't it? And it's on our money, isn't it? So that's what I mean by that. It's not like he says, I'm going to create, and then on the seventh day, on the Sabbath, on Sunday, I'm going to rest. It doesn't work like that. If you think that it works like that because you have a religion or a philosophy or a spiritual practice that makes you come to believe in a power greater than yourself, but that you're apart from that power somehow, you'll become compartmentalized and entranced. And that's the product of that delusion of grandeur. It's a delusion of grandeur. And that somehow what I am saying, so you can catch the signs. People, you can see when someone is having, you can tell by people's body language and the things that they say, their psyches show. Anyone can. I had a good day today. I did this and I did that, and then I can remember when I got something from the 7-Eleven, and I felt like the love was right there, and I saw the person smile, and they lit up, and it was just more better than money. It was like something that you can't be bought um, by material things. It's the energy. It's when the energy is there and you see someone light up. So the next question that comes to mind for you is that, did I make them do it? No, you didn't make them do anything. You cannot make anyone do anything. You cannot make anything happen. It happened, and I was the witness to it because I was at the right place at the right time. And I got my payment in the spirit because I was able to experience myself through their eyes, that I was able to see their joy. And we both experienced it in the same moment, and we both got it, and we saw that we were both perfectly connected in that moment, and we understood each other. Now, if you don't have any kind of input that you try to put into anything, if you don't have any kind of program that you follow, if you've never heard of a program, if you don't know what is a program, uh, it's really what you see expressing itself in a way that's understood, um, but there's nobody who's understanding it, and there's nobody who's on the other side of the eye. There's no one who's on the other side of the world looking at you, understanding it, because there is no duality. It's difficult to explain. This is devotional non-duality. So I'll tell you what it's not. It's not duality. It's not a what it is it's a unity, a oneness of creation that's independent of individual beings. The aliens told us we call them people. Okay, that's, it's a joke. It's a joke. There's no person in charge of the world, or designing the world, or able to uh, take into account all of the happenings and the occurrences that go on in the world. What you have is you have perception moving sequentially, and to say it happens in each one of us is a projection. But it happens that the sequence, because there's time believed in to see something that just happened versus something that's happening versus something that's gonna happen. It's an arbitrary selection of events. And then the problem with that is that because the mind sees sequence, it automatically projects that there's a this causing that. And you find people, and I found a lot of them, who have all kinds of conspiracy theories. I mean, they believe in the Illuminati, they believe in a cabal, they believe in aliens. I mean, because they can't explain it. So they become victimized and trapped by their own thoughts because they're trying to explain a phenomenon which they're taking personally, and their own power is being projected into the world, and so they think that it's people out there in the world that are doing things. And I've heard some pretty dark things that people think are going on out there in the world. The only power that, it's not your mind, it's not your body, it's the mind. And the only power that the mind has is to entrance the body into entrancement with its hypnotic suggestions. It can't do anything else except just make a suggestion or an observation. Wow, it's not going to rain tomorrow. How do you know that? You don't. But you believe it, and then you see the process where the entrainment of the mind and the body become entranced and they believe it. And that's how they believe that there are certain horrific things going on in the world. And of course, the unconscious is where this is all being manufactured and spun. And mankind is subjected to continuous systematic brainwashing on a daily basis, continuously through electronics and through programming, television, the media. Now, there are people who already know this, but they still have a difficult time getting out, because then they turn that into their projection, and they think that then the media is the great Satan. If it's not the media, then it's a spy. If it's not a spy, so then, there are ways to. It's not about trying to change anything that already is the way it is. Things are already perfect the way they are. It's trying to change them that creates imperfection, which is a projection that things are imperfect, because actually everything is perfect now, because creation is now, and it's not then, and it's not in the future, which is what I meant when I said that there is no past, present, or future. There is only right now, and it's what I meant when I said that there is no mind, and there is no thought pattern, there is no thought that what is being held in mind is somehow causing or changing anything into something that's believed in. Even a program, even an actual identified pattern is still very. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. If you see past, present, future, and you see a sequence, then what a person thinks is it thinks that it's where they saw the information coming from, right? That's all it is the subconscious. They think it's where they saw the information coming from that programmed them, and so they automatically think that they're programmed. Therefore, they would say, I am a program, and that's because they don't have trust or faith in the process of what's actually taking place, and they assume automatically that it was because Master Who told me. So it's just as crazy and out there as people who think that they're aliens that are in the Pentagon, and I've met a person who really believed that. And it's just as crazy who people think that there's a government cabal in charge of deviant, perverted activities and misconduct. That's the same delusion. A 40-foot Bohemian Grove statue of an owl where people can summon powers from spiritual beings. The internet is all kinds of misinformation, and they were doing it in the 40s, and they're doing it still. The people are the same. It's the masks they wear that's changed. It's all the same. It's never been any different then as it is now. The only difference is what they're putting on. It's the club that they're in. It's the glamour that goes with it, and it's the feeling of one-upmanship and knowing something that somebody else doesn't know, that keeps the whole machine running, because the whole machine is running because of that. And if you have a new thought or an original thought and you think that someone else gave it to you, no one gave it to you. It's you can see the actual trap that the mind falls into when duality is believed in. So that's what it's not. That's duality. And the world is in duality. And it's really the opposite, in a way, of non-duality. And it's a shift in consciousness. It takes that long to become enlightened, to go from what's out there is making me think this way to what's in here is reflecting what's out there. And out there has got nothing to do with in here. Dropping pride and, quite frankly, becoming awake and becoming real. Becoming real, being honest and allowing what belongs to you to belong to you, and not pursuing what does not belong to you. And also being with yourself and belonging to the place that you choose to go, instead of being controlled by what has no existence. So that's basically non-duality. And I don't really I don't really know exactly what is the best advice of how to go from there to here, except through experience. And experience is really what makes the difference between knowing what I'm talking about and not knowing. But it's very subtle, because the mind is a subtle field of energy that can be read and accessed. And that's how you read people's psyches. And it's the same. So I got to get off here because I don't want to spend too much more energy or time behind here for people. But the other thing that's important is, letting go of limiting beliefs. And it's basic NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And that's the last thing that I'll really talk about before I touch on it, the other side of getting your own information or mining your own data, instead of being in trance yourself. So it's a good thing not to have any secrets, because it's a good thing to be because the programming is constant. There are people who have they hung up all these flyers on the telephone poles on the street in Hilo. So you can't even walk down the street in Hilo anymore without seeing these writings on the telephone poles. It's gotten to that point now where people, not only do they have all this stuff going on in their head, but they can't even keep it to themselves. They have to go and put it out there and staple it onto the telephone poles. So I'm done with that. I'm not trying to change that. I'm not ranting about it. I'm just I'm done with it. So um, how do you know? How do you know? How do I know? Because I've seen it. So it's just the way things are right now, and just like how the coqui frogs are chirping right now, there's a time. There's a time for everything. There's even a time for sausage, eggs, and rice.